coach and mother. She has received national media coverage, most notably by USA Today, U.S. News and World Report, CNN, ESPN, The Female Quotient, and Thrive Global. In 2021, she was the host for the United Nations Global Film Festival, master of ceremonies for the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon, and was named Woman of the Year by Pass the Torch for Women Foundation. Her leadership fable, How to Be a Queen, was released last spring and is a top-selling book for Archway Publishing. So thank you, Jennifer, for joining us.
Happily. Thanks for having me. It's such an honor. And usually the way that these go, do y'all usually talk back and engage, or does the speaker just go and talk all the way? What's the vibe usually like?
We prefer engagement for sure, but we definitely want to give you time to, explain your backstory, to anything that's relevant, you think, to their career journey, things that will help prepare them for things they're going to face that maybe you've encountered. That's typically the vibe on these tech talks. So it's really kind of up to you, but typically we do want time for.
Yeah. Well, I as you heard, am a former pro athlete, and now I'm in tech. And tech is really where everybody wants to be. And the biggest thing that I do is I help people land their dream jobs. And if my screen, Mark, I will need your help in telling me if my screen shares properly. Let's see. I'm going to try to share. I do have some slides that will help you land the ultimate job of your dreams. Let's see. A window. Let me try this. Okay.
I can see it.
Can see it. And let me pull up really quick my slides. Where did you go, slides? We're going to find them. There we are. Can you still see my screen?
I can, but don't see this. Yes.
You can? Okay. Awesome. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see you all while I have a couple slides. But we're going to be talking about landing your dream job. And please tell me if the slides don't advance. I have no way of knowing. Sometimes Google Meets likes to show up and show out on me. So this is my lovely family. If you see my boys and then my incredible person, my husband that I met a year ago. And I'm a big fan of tech. I actually happened to meet him on an app. On Bumble. So if anybody's thinking to themselves, should I be getting on a dating app? I can't tell you what to do, but the dating app has been great for me being in tech. And our two sons, Blake and Grant, we live here in Brownsburg, and it's really, as you can imagine, a lot of fun being a mama of two young boys. But what we're going to talk about tonight is really not about how to reinvent the wheel. I just spoke with a founder today, and he said, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We just want to put rims on it. And I had actually never heard that before. And we're going to be talking about how to get what you want every single
Jennifer,
time.
Sorry to interrupt, but we cannot see the slides. It's just showing the team's room.
Okay. No, thank you for letting me know. I don't know why. I don't know why that stops sharing. Thank you for letting me know. I'll just go. I'll share. Can you see me, or is it still sharing my screen?
To see you.
No,
now.
it's not sharing.
Okay. It's like an over-under, like, oh, just me. But I'll click over to my slides. I so appreciate you letting me know. All right. We'll go back here really quick. All right. So I'm going to talk about how to get what you want every single time. And that could be money, respect, peace, power, happiness, anything. And when I say anything, I mean, like, this is my specialty. This is my gift in life. Is very simple. I help successful people become unstoppable. You all are successful. You're about to be unstoppable. And that's why you're also in this program. So the first thing that you want to do is share your need. Number one, if you're taking old school notes, you're writing down on a piece of paper, share your need. I always thought I had like a really powerful network. I have thousands of people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. I am that person. I post 2 to 3 times a day. It's super intense, but I thought my network was weak. And it's because I never asked them for anything. And recently, I say recently, but it was way back in the pandemic, I lost my dream job. I was with a sport and entertainment agency, and this agency laid me off 60 days into my new dream job. And I posted about it on LinkedIn, and I was real. It was like the realest of the real. It started off by saying, I posted, I am not special. Yesterday I was laid off, no spouse, no special savings, no childcare. No one will, quote, save us. At the time, I was a single independent mom. And I said, it's all on me. And I just laid it out for people. I said, I've been so broke that the only loan I could ever qualify for was my children's piggy banks while they slept at night. I mean, social media is all about looking good, right? This is not what you want to share publicly, but I just decided to keep it real with my network. And little did I know that I would become famous for 15 minutes. My post went viral. Millions and millions and millions of people saw it. And U.S. News and World Report ended up doing a story on me. And for 15 minutes, I was the most famous woman in the Midwest for not having a job, which is not ever anything that I wanted in my life, as you can imagine. Like, nobody wants to be famous for not having a job. But what I learned in that experience is I have to share what I'm looking for. And with you landing your dream job, it's important to know that 70% of roles are not posted. So if you think you're going to find like your next dream job or your next job and you're just going to apply, cold apply, it's not probably going to happen like that for you. So I wanted to share the reality that 70% of those jobs are not posted. And then 80%, that is the percentage of folks that land in roles based on their network. So it may not be like your first connection on LinkedIn. It may not be your first connection like on social media, like your initial friend. It's going to be that secondary friend, that friend of a friend that's going to help you land in your next role. So sharing that you're looking for a role, you don't have to do it as publicly as I did, but reaching out to them, when I say them, anyone in your network, and asking this question will make all the difference. So remember the phrase TOM, T-O-M. You want to ask them to keep you top of mind. So that stands for top of mind. So it looks something like this. Hi, Jem. I just graduated from such and such program, and I'm looking for roles in marketing. Are you able to keep me top of mind when you see remote roles in marketing? Question mark. And you literally want to consider asking every single person in your network that you may know if they can keep you top of mind. So this is known as a soft close, and it helps you also be able to follow up to ask them if they've seen any roles that are open. So first tip is share your need. Does anybody have any questions? What questions do you have about sharing your need? Any fears, any concerns with landing in that dream job?
I don't have any questions. I'm just excited to hear more about you. It sounds like it's like so familiar, especially with, not having a job and having a kid to take care of and things like that. So I'm just here to just listen, I guess, and try to see what I can get out of it.
Yeah. And during that period of my life, it was really challenging. I was fortunate enough to have support where I had it, when I had it, but I was that person that was like, I got this, and I think a lot of times that overcompensation of doing everything, I had to learn how to let some of those other things go. And it's what I call selective failure. So I don't know if anybody has ever seen in cartoons or maybe a long time ago, people used to spin plates on these really high, tall sticks, and it was called plate spinning. And they would go back and forth, and they used to get 10 or 20 of these plates spinning in the air. And it's hard to keep all the plates spinning in the air at the same time. But I feel the thing that is most helpful in a challenging situation is choosing which plates are going to fall and crash to the ground. And I call it selective failure, and being okay with that. And that's something that I continue to do. And I say to myself, all right, you know what? I'm not going to be great at this one thing today, and I'm okay with that. So that was extremely helpful for me during that time. So continue to share your need. It goes against everything that we're taught, but sharing that need and asking people will really activate your network. So the second thing is stay open. I know that we all have kind of like an idea of what we want to do and what we want to accomplish, but the reality is I hate to say this, but you're going to change your career 5 to 7 times over the course of your life. And that means you're going to have 12 different jobs over your lifetime as you're into your professional career. So that's not counting maybe jobs through middle school or high school. So 5 to 7 times you're going to be changing actual careers, and 12 times you'll be changing jobs. So as a technical recruiter, I work with the top firm out of a company, top firm out of New York. So I live here in Indianapolis, but this firm is amazing because we place data engineers, machine learning engineers, analytics engineers. That's just my team. We have a couple different teams. We've got DevOps, we've got security, we've got software, and I place them at Fortune level companies and high-end startups. So for example, someone I placed this past year, she had a computer science degree and like 2.5 years, 3 years of experience. I placed her, and her base salary in a remote role ended up being $155,000. And she has like a 15% bonus annually. Those are the types of folks that we're placing. And I share these numbers with you because it's also important to have facts, to have information about the industries that you're going into, to know how you can determine your worth. When somebody says, well, how much are you looking for? You know, we don't have to guess. You have a resource. Count me as a resource. My information is in the chat, and I can let you know what we're seeing on the market for your job, your experience, and your education. The third thing we're going to do tonight is write your memoir. And has anyone ever written their memoir just yet? Like, no, maybe? Anyone? Have you written your memoir? I know it's a creative group.
I haven't, no.
No. No. Oh, there we go. Now I see the chat. Yes, I hadn't either. So there's this famed story going on that says Ernest Hemingway was asked to write a story in 6 words. And he famously wrote, "Baby shoes for sale, never worn." Baby shoes for sale, never worn. I mean, I think what's amazing about this story is it has a whole call to action. Like, you almost want to shake Ernest Hemingway and say, what does this story mean? Like, what happened to the baby? Like, what's the deal with the baby shoes? It's a whole lifetime in one sentence. So tonight, you are going to write your memoir or your mission statement in 6 words. So I will share with you mine. Mine is, I've said it earlier, but I'll write it in the chat here. I help successful people become unstoppable. So that's my life mission in 6 words. Now, I'm going to tell you, like, as you're thinking about your mission, as you're thinking about your 6 words, your sentence, just know that what that means for me is that it doesn't matter what my job is. I can be a technical recruiter. I could be, a speaker. I could be an actress if that was something I was skilled at. And it wouldn't matter what I actually did, because no matter what I do, I cannot stop helping successful people become unstoppable. I've noticed this trend in my life, and it's something that I am called to do. So hopefully right now you're starting to think about, what are the 6 words for me? I'm going to give you about a minute plus to think about this. So I will give you some awkward silence to be still with your thoughts and think about what your memoir, think about what your mission statement is for you. And I'll start my clock now. Does anyone have a first draft or an idea of what your mission statement or memoir is and feels confident, comfortable enough to share their statement with us?
I wrote mine in the chat. I have a podcast called Growing with Raby, and it talks about like me on my healing journey and stuff like that, and just learning all different aspects of my life. And let me go back. I enjoy growing with other growers.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you think it is about that speaks to you?
Just learning. It was more so me trying to have an understanding of different, like not just my perspective on things, but other individuals. And then also letting people know that it's okay, like to feel certain things, especially in, with being a mom. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to feel a certain way, and letting people know that I am not perfect. Like I go through things as well. So I enjoy kind of being open and transparent with my audience and with people. And I enjoy hearing their stories as well, because it kind of like motivates me. So
For sure. For sure. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I love that.
thank you.
Who else feels like I'm going to step out there. I'm going to share what my 6 words are.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, my name's Keon. So I can share mine. So I wrote down, "I'll stop learning when I die."
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's basically like I always look forward to learning something new every day, every week, every month, every year. Just constantly searching for information and for just gaining more access to more resources and different things like that. So that's what I feel like that kind of stems from. And that's been my like motive for a lot of the projects that I've done, a lot of the creative stuff that I do. I like to dive deep and find out new things and uncover new mysteries and different things like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. And what's your favorite way to learn? Is it podcasts? Are they books? What is it that you enjoy?
So I kind of do like just jumping down the rabbit hole kind of thing. But yeah, I'll so like when I started trading stocks, I got resources from a gentleman like I knew in the neighborhood. He told me about a couple of books. When I read the books, they mentioned more books. I read those books. They mentioned like articles and they mentioned teachers and teachings. So it just kind of got deeper and deeper as I went along. And that's kind of like how I attack a lot of the things that I want to learn about.
Yeah, I love that. That's wonderful. That is such an interesting, like being a learner. And let me ask you this, do you feel that you're able to apply what you're learning directly, or do you feel like there's a lag at all in between what you learn and what you apply? What's it like for you?
I can say there is kind of like a lag, but I feel like it always comes around. You when I learn something and then I it'll come back and I'm like, oh, that's what that was for. Like, and then it'll be way more apparent. It might not be completely there at first, but eventually it'll come back up and I'll be like, oh, that's what he meant when I read this passage and I wrote it down and I highlighted it and stuff like that. Like going back to the notes and different things.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. That's wonderful. Does anybody else feel like they accomplished their like memoir, their their statement? Like it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be final. It could be your first draft.
Yeah, sure. My name is Keelan. What I came up with is building a bridge over muddy waters. And I came up with that one just because I really enjoy connecting people to other people, connecting people to other resources, and just helping them solve a problem and find an answer to some type of issue that they're having.
I love that. I love that. We'll have to connect on LinkedIn. That's where we can. I'm very active on there. So since you're a fellow connector, love to hear that. We'll have to have a little video call and see how we can get all these dots aligned.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that would be super fun. So does anybody have anyone else like to share? I'm looking at the microphones with the cross through them just in case. Awesome. Well, those three things are the biggest guiding factors in landing your dream job or your next opportunity. Share your need, stay open. And now that you have your memoir, now that you have your mission statement, sometimes it takes the pressure off of what that job is when you know what it is that you are, in a word, meant to do or want to do. Now, the second part of what I wanted to chat about today is some tangible takeaways, some tools, and some things to learn and draw from. I put them into the chat since my screen isn't sharing for some reason. But the first is a book called Never Split the Difference. I found that a lot of times we have a challenge, as I'll call it, negotiating for ourselves, specifically women. The studies show that women are great at negotiating for people that we care about, people that we love. But then sometimes when it comes down to us in the workplace, a lot of times the negotiating is not happening. So one book to consider reading, however you identify, is Never Split the Difference. He is a former FBI hostage negotiator, and he will teach you how to get everything. This book, if I were to put you on for one book, it would be this one for the year. If you can do the audio, he uses examples like extreme anchoring. So for example, if I'm a speaker and I'm going to negotiate a fee, I wouldn't be the first to say the number. Maybe you've heard that before. But then I would use a technique called anchoring. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of anchoring before, but I would say typically for a talk that's an hour long for a profit organization, I charge $10,000. But for this organization, since you're in town, I know you, it's 20 minutes. I'm happy to do the talk for $35.95. And I would price on the odd. And did you notice one thing I did not say? Did anyone notice one thing I did not say?
An exact amount?
Dollars. I didn't say dollars. So when you are thinking of negotiating for your own salary, because I'm negotiating like salaries and time off and remote and all carry draws, all kind of things with salaries, we never say dollars. You can write dollars, the dollar sign, but those are the types of tips that will help guide you along during negotiations. Another is thinking that you are negotiating for someone else. So when you go with your boss you don't think of it as yourself. You think that I'm doing this for someone I love. Like for me, that would be my mama. Like, would I accept this for my mom? No, I wouldn't. I would push a little bit harder. I would try different ways. I would prepare and think to persuade. So when you approach negotiations, that's something that can be very helpful. So with these little like hot topics here with tangible takeaways, what questions do you have for me when it comes down to negotiating your salary, as this is something I do every day?
So if a job, like, because it's a job, I want to say career, say like, okay, this is how much, like they put on the website, this is how much we're paying. How, like, if you're used, I don't know, how would you like negotiate that price with them?
Yes, that's a great question. So during the interview process, I have this question come through a lot, which is, how am I supposed to be with these people that are interviewing me? Like, do I need to be kind of like, calm? Do I need to be cool? Do I need to play it coy? Like, oh, I have lots of opportunities. Let me tell you, the way that you want to play it right now in this job market, even though it's still candidate driven, is you want to be thirsty. I mean, you literally want to be with them like, hold on, I'm so thirsty for a new job. Like that's you are like all about, like, if this is Smith and Company, you are like, Smith and Company is the best company I've ever heard of. I did all this research. I want to be on your team. You are all into Smith and Company, right? Like, so you want to show like the thirst for a new job. Employers want that right now. They want people who are dying to be there. All right. So then when you get to the point when you're about to get that offer, when you're about to get the shmoney, as I like to say, when it's time to get that money, that is when you can have a conversation, and it will go something like this. They would say, well, what are your salary expectations? What are you looking for? If they ask you before they make the offer, you can say, this is the number that I'm targeting. So that's the language that you can say. This is the number that I'm targeting. That means that if you happen to be in process with 2 other companies, that number just went up. Price went up, right? Like suddenly it's like, oh, I was going for 100K, but sorry, I have somebody else going on at 115. So organizations and companies understand that processes change, things change during the conversation. And you can always say, I see that the range is listed from here to here. My initial target was this. Now I have other opportunities and I'm hoping for Y. So hopefully that's helpful. You always want to get them to say the number first of what they're looking to pay. And really the money, it's a conversation that starts with them unless there's absolutely no salary range. And you're like, do I even want to talk to you? Like, do I even want to have this conversation for so long? And I don't even know if this paper is matching what I need. So if you find yourself in a situation where there isn't a range listed, you can say, all right, I'm really excited about this role. I want to make certain that we're on the same page in regards to pay. So what is the pay range that you all are targeting or that you're listing? And then they will tell you. If they get a little hem-haw about it and they're not certain, I would want to ask a couple more clarifying questions that would be like, when will you know, or what round do we usually get to? Can you walk me through the process from interview to offer? How long are you anticipating until you know which candidate is right for you? And that's something I really believe in, is asking a lot of questions, which I'm a big nerd about how to ask the right questions, because I believe there's a way that you can hack people. Just as you can hack computers, I believe there's a way to hack people through language. Is that helpful for negotiating your salary?
Yes.
Awesome. Money. It's all about money. Who else? What other questions do you have for me? There's no taboo here. You can ask any question around money, and I can let you know what I've seen because I have seen some things when it comes down to offers, counter offers. Should you take a counter offer? When do I ask for a raise? So any of these any questions percolating, coming to mind?
Hi, Jennifer. I had a question. I was wondering, like, in regards to like the counter offers, how do you know when to kind of, like, I guess essentially to accept the offer so that you don't kind of push it too much and lose out on the job opportunity?
Absolutely. And counter offer, to clarify, would it be your counter offer or the counter offer where you're currently working?
The counter offer where I'm currently working.
Okay, so if your current job is like, no, Marissa, don't leave us, right? Is that right? That would be
Yep,
like,
yep,
okay.
exactly.
All right. So here's what we found out, is that, oh my goodness, people are realizing that it's going to cost them a lot more money to replace folks that they have, which is another reason why no one wants to post the salary range. New York just recently passed a pay transparency law where you have to post the salary range. But let me tell you what happened in New York City. They try to be slick, okay? And they decided, well, if you're from New York, I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying the employers in New York were trying to be slick, and they decided to post salary ranges from 100,000 to 300,000. So now it's almost like a moot point. Like nobody knows like what the real salary is. They got a way around it. And the reason that they don't want to post salary ranges is because people that are in their jobs will be like, wait a minute, you're paying how much for how many years experience? That's like 20,000 less. That's like 30,000 less than what you're paying me. So this is why they try to have you stay, because they realize it will cost them sometimes 20, 30, maybe even 40, depending how $1,000, depending how underpaid you are. So what we found out is that they will try to, as in any dysfunctional relationship, make you stay with the counter offer. The problem with the counter offer is that loyalty is the number one factor when it comes down to jobs and assignments that are given out to people at these jobs. And so basically, if you accept a counter offer, you can expect some kind of trifling behavior within the next 6 months. So they're going to put you like on a bad project because they think, oh man, we had her stay, we helped her stay, but she was looking around, is she really loyal? Maybe we need to start thinking, if we're going to replace her. And it's not always, sometimes people stay and they get counters and they love it, but the statistics point to people leaving 6 months after they accepted a counter. It's so all or nothing. I hate to say it like that, but that's what we've been seeing specifically in the tech world. One question that I used to have that I'll answer myself before moving on from negotiations is like, you're so excited about the job and maybe they don't know that you just like really need a job, right? like the thirst came through, but like after you finished playing thirsty, you got off and you were actually hungry because you needed the money. I've been there. The hard thing is when someone makes you an offer, you're like, oh man, they just hit the target that I initially told them. They did all these different things for me. Should I just accept the offer on the spot? I get a lot of that. A lot of people asking, should I just accept first offers on the spot? My answer is it depends. It depends on if you were working with a recruiter, because a good recruiter, I mean, I'm your favorite technical recruiter, but a good recruiter will negotiate on the front end and hit the target and hit a home run on the first offer because they were doing all that negotiation for you before the offer came. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's just like little old you, applied, got the job. Okay, you get the offer. So if they offer you, you can say, I'm so, Smith and Company, I'm so excited and thrilled to have this offer. Yes, I'd like to think about it, right? Let me talk it over with fill in the blank. Let me get back to you on Monday. You can do that. And then you can say this, is this the best offer that you have? Now, the genius of asking, is this the best offer, is what? You didn't say a dollar amount. You didn't give a timeline. You didn't say anything about the title. And they can say, well, what do you mean? You could say, oh, financially, is this the best offer? And they can say, I don't know, let me check, and then come back to you. And you make it more money straight away from that. You want to avoid saying, oh, I was hoping for like 15 grand more, or I was hoping for 10 grand. Because what if you say I was hoping for 5, but they had like 15 more that they could give you? So asking if this is the best offer is a great way to begin, not necessarily a counter offer, but a second offer that they can come with. I know that a lot of times we feel like, oh, I want to accept it. And if you've been in that position, you know what I'm talking about. Now, let's say you get to a point and you're like, oh, the money's there, but I still feel like they could give me just a little more. Go for title. Ask about senior. Ask about more time off. Maybe you want more work from home or hybrid function. You can ask them to contribute more to your retirement. I mean, there's more ways to negotiate other than money. Because if you could get 2 more weeks off from work, that's the equivalent of getting an extra paycheck or 2 sometimes, depending on how you're paid during the year. So try to remember, if you can, and the excitement of things, that there are a lot of different things that can be negotiated. Maybe they can pay for a conference for you to go to, and you find yourself at like South by Southwest and you didn't have to pay for anything. There's a lot of different opportunities when it comes down to negotiations. The next book that, oh my gosh, I love this book, is Exactly What to Say. It's in the chat at 6:25. I dropped the link. Exactly What to Say by Phil M. Jones. It's got 22 phrases that are going to take your regular conversations to the next level. And oh my gosh, like questions, I'm obsessed with questions. That's because whoever's asking questions is in control of the conversations, and it's how you deliver the questions and what you say. For example, I try to never use the word why. Try to never ask anyone why. I never say why. I never ask myself, why did you just eat that donut? Like, why did you decide to get the chocolate? Because why makes everyone defensive. Even if you ask yourself, like, why did I just do that? You immediately jump to a vibe or a judgment. So instead of saying why, consider saying what or how. So this is how it looks in a conversation. What makes you say that? How did you get to that conclusion? What is it that you were thinking about, like, when this happened, right? Instead of saying like, why? Like, why? So this book doesn't go deep into why, but it does go into some other amazing tips. And one of my favorites is open-minded. If you want someone to do something for you, you can ask, are you open-minded to hopping on a video call for 10 minutes? And then you would alternate choice close them, which means you give them an option between 2 things rather than asking them a question that's yes or no. So, for example, if you ask your partner, if your partner's like, hey, babe, what do you want to eat tonight? You're suddenly like, oh my gosh, like, why are you making me do all the work, right? But if he says or she says, hey, babe, do you want Japanese or do you want Mexican food? Suddenly you're like, Mexican food, or you're like, oh, I want pasta, So by doing an alternate choice close, it's kind of this or that, which looks like Tuesday or Thursday, which works best for you, morning or evening. It's going to get you so far on the path in life. It could be your dream job, could be your partner, could be anything. And it's something that I'm working on every day. So consider checking out that book. It has so many, and the slides had some of my my favorites from the book. Let me just peek at them really quick. But yeah, if you're open-minded to, another one is, I don't know if it's for you, but so if you even want to sell Girl Scout cookies for your little niece and you want to help them out, try these things out. You can say, I don't know if it's for you, but, so that is a way that you're able to hack the person, because they're saying, I don't know if it's for you, but, and people will lean in to hear what you're saying. So those phrases are very powerful. There's 23 of them. Does anybody have a phrase or a little method of saying things that you feel mobilizes people? Or do you have questions about how to perhaps persuade someone to do something? The difference between persuasion and manipulation is that persuasion benefits both parties and manipulation only benefits one. So what questions or tips or like juicy things do you want to know that I can give you commentary on? All right. Well, consider checking that book out. And all of these items and all these books have to do with professional development. They will be huge assets in helping you land that dream job, that this is what it's all about tonight. And the last two books, as we come to the end here, are The Science of Win by Daniel Pink. It's in the chat. It's like at 627 mark. And that is talking about some incredible science behind when you want to ask people to do things. And right now we're talking about at work. Studies show that parole violators receive harsher punishments when they are sentenced before lunch. I'm going to say it again. Before lunch is the danger zone. So if you have a performance evaluation, a talk with your boss, and in your personal life, maybe a sticky situation that you need to talk to somebody and you're like, I don't want to do this. Consider meeting with them early in the morning if they've had breakfast, or immediately after lunch, preferably avoiding the hours of 2 to 4 p.m. I know all of this is a lot to take in tonight. That's why I highly recommend checking out the books, audio, podcast, or asking me questions afterwards. But these things will impact the course of your life. They have for me, and I know they will for you. So consider asking your boss if it's a performance review. Oh, I'd love to meet. How does, 9 a.m. work? Will you have had breakfast? Great. That's when you want to meet with them. All right. You don't want to meet with them at 11:30. You don't want to meet with them necessarily at 11. You don't want to meet with them at 2:30. If it's afternoon, you'll say, ooh, how about 1:15, 1 o'clock? And then you want to ask this question. Will you have had lunch by then? Will you have eaten by then? Oh, yeah, sure. And you'll get more information about them as a person. Yes, I always eat lunch at 11:45. I'll be good to go. When the blood sugar level is higher, they're going to make better decisions and you will have a more favorable result. These are really important things that we can, they seem really tiny, but they can help us, because oftentimes we have so many things coming against us because of having melanin, or because we are women, or because we're identifying as other or different from this mainstream in tech, and often from the mainstream in leadership. So these things really do help. So that book, Win, is fascinating. It's a quick read. It's pretty nerdy. The last one is it's called A More Beautiful Question, because I'm all about questions. It has hundreds of questions in the back. If you're like, dang, I don't ask enough questions, or I really hate small talk. That used to be me. I would just be like, ooh, I hate this. Not anymore, because instead of saying like, how are you? I'll ask this question. If you remember anything from tonight, remember these two. You can say, what are you most excited about right now? then they're going to start talking, right? They're going to start talking. What am I most excited about? Like, when was the last time somebody asked you that you didn't know or that you knew? Hey, Winnie, what are you most excited about right now? Nobody asks us this question. The more people talk about themselves, the better they're going to like you. I know that sounds crazy, but it is very helpful in business. And when I say like, I'm meaning in a business, in a professional sense. Going back to the hostage negotiator book, if you find that there's a certain personality type that's more narcissistic, and maybe you don't know if they're narcissistic or not, if you're feeling nervous about them and they constantly talk about themselves, chances are they're narcissistic leaning. So if they're a little narcissistic and they're your boss or they're your manager, one way to survive is to repeat the last 3 words that they say at the end of a sentence. They could say, oh yeah, that was a crazy day. And then you would say, whoo, crazy day. And they will keep talking. I know it sounds weird and it may seem like really obvious, but people don't notice. People don't notice when it's called mirroring them with language. So if you have something that you want to say after they've just said, oh, that was a crazy day, they would say, oh, I just had a crazy day. Then you would say, whoo, crazy day. You know what? Did you see what happened with Jim? Suddenly, you found a way into the conversation, and then they just like the question that you just asked them because it was filled with the last 3 words that they just said. No, it sounds crazy. It sounds wild. It sounds like, oh, no way. People are going to realize I'm mirroring them the entire time. They will not. So that book I highly recommend. The last question that you can consider saying is AWE, which is awe. And that stands for and what else. So anytime that you're in any situation, you can just softly say, and what else? And you will get so much information. Information like crazy. And you just keep saying it over and over again. And what else? You had a awful day. Oh, and you would say from exactly what to say. Don't worry, which people actually like to hear. Don't worry. I didn't think that was true. I've been using it. People go like this. You go, don't worry. And they'll go, oh, you're right. It's bizarre. So you could say, oh, don't worry. And what else happened? What else? And they will continue talking. So I know we don't hear a lot about these types of tips like in school or in classes. And this may be overwhelming because it's so many things. But what questions do you have for me as we come up on the end of our time here? I see Mark said, no questions. So everybody's got it. Everybody is ready to go. You've got ready to share your need and stay open, and you wrote your memoir and you've got some tangible takeaways right now. Like you've got tangible takeaways with books and tips and questions and all kinds of things. But that's everything that I have tonight. And yes, I see, looking for mentee, feel free to send me messages and questions on LinkedIn. If you're like, what was that thing that you said to do? I'm always accessible because I want to see all of us and more of us thrive. And that's my mission for 2023. So Mark, that's all I have tonight.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really, really, really appreciate you joining us. I feel like there was an abundance of information that you shared that can be applied to every journey represented. And just as a reminder, this is going to be shared with the rest of our students as well. We save and record every Tech Talk, so I'm sure you're going to have an opportunity to impact that many more students. So I expect you'll get some emails and follow up from this, and probably from a few who review this at a later time. So thank you again for joining us. And thank you guys for participating, being a part of the exercises, and continue to be checking your calendar as we're going to be having more opportunities to engage with people like Jennifer. Make sure you grab all the information from the chat. And I'm going to let you guys go a few minutes early if nobody else has any questions. But again, use the LinkedIn, get connected on LinkedIn, and we will see you guys all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Bye.
Bye.